How is it going, my friends? This is Seth from the Horror Syndicate, and I am back for another Werewolf Wednesday episode. And tonight's topic, I'm going to talk about the newly put out, just last week, they put out a teaser poster, a teaser trailer for Wolfman for 2025. And then there was also an alleged leak of the werewolf design. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit as well. And then while I'm on the subject, I might as well talk about the original 1941 film uh, and the 2010 remake. So that is what I will be discussing tonight. Um, if you are following us on Facebook, uh, hit the thumbs up. Or you could hit the laugh emoji, or you could hit the heart emoji, the care emoji, the angry emoji, whatever you want to do. And please share this and comment below what you thought about the new trailer for I was going to say the Wolfman, but it's actually just Wolfman. So Wolfman, and the new poster. And what did you think of that uh, design leak? Do you believe that's legit, or do you think that's not going to be completely accurate? Let us know. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, or you can hit the thumbs down. And same question: what did you think of the trailer and the poster for the upcoming film? And what are your thoughts on that design leak? So now that that's out of the way, I'm gonna quickly try to get through some comments here. Always first up is our friend from across the pond, Sean Sheridan, who said, "I saw the Wolfman once. Not much memory, to be honest. At some stage, I want to marathon the entire Universal Monster old movies, Dracula, Frankenstein, etc." That's a wonderful idea. That is, I love those films. Especially the Wolfman. That's my favorite of the old classic Universal films. And um, I the, I find it interesting that the Wolfman never really got any actual. I mean, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman is sort of like a combination of both, and then the character Larry Talbot, his journey continues on through crossover films. So that would be a good marathon to watch in and of itself. The Wolfman, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, House of uh, is it House? Yeah, House of Frankenstein, then House of Dracula, and then finally, can't remember the full title. It's Abbott and Costello. But yeah, I love the old Universal stuff. I actually go through them quite often. It's actually been a while. The last one I watched was The Mummy, I think, which has been growing on me since I saw it, like since I got to see like on the big screen. Seeing the old 1932 Mummy was awesome. Seeing it on the big screen a couple years ago. Uh, Sean also said Lee Winnell's new movie looks promising. Invisible Man was great. Yep, we'll get into that definitely. Sean Denson says, "What's up, Seth? Hope you're doing well. Thank you. I am. I rewatched Howlin' Five and found myself liking it a lot more than when I was a kid. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. It's not a perfect film by any means, but I especially love the setting, and I think uh, the way that the the story was structured around this mystery. I think that just kind of makes it stand out from the rest. But glad that you liked it this time around." Skywalker says, "I saw the trailer for the new Wolfman movie. It was pretty interesting, but we only saw the werewolf paw. I'm guessing. We didn't actually see the full body. I cannot wait to see the full trailer." Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was obviously a teaser trailer. I was hoping to see more of the werewolf in the teaser, just so we can get like a confirm or deny on that alleged leak that came out. But yeah, I'll talk about the trailer in a little bit. Actually, Sean Sheridan, I have not seen most of the movies past the 50s. Maybe never even seen Nosferatu. We'll watch before the new one this year. Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. Definitely watch the new watch the old Nosferatu from 1922, and then also watch there's a 1970s Nosferatu, which I like a lot, to be honest with you. Skywalker says, I read somewhere before they made the 2010 Wolfman remake, they have to get Lon Chaney's family's permission to make these Wolfman movies. Why were they had to get his family's permission? I have no idea on that. I didn't hear about that. Because I mean, he was the character. I mean, fun fact about the old Universal stuff is that he's the only actor to consistently play the same character through each of the characters' um, appearances. But he didn't, write. I don't know. He wasn't involved with the writing or the creation of the character, so I don't know why. But I don't know. It's interesting. Sean Denson, I think the trailer looks very promising. Yep. I think that's about it for comments so far. So that's good. Um, yeah, so let's get into it. I'm gonna first talk about the poster. Just let me pull it up here. So here is the teaser poster for the Wolfman, or not the Wolfman. It's just Wolfman. It's funny that they all have different titles. There's the Wolfman with spaces between Wolf and Man for the 41 film. For the 2010 film, is the Wolfman is just one word, no space in between, and then this new one drops the. Um, Now I get what they were doing with this poster, like trying to, you're. This is obviously the daughter of the main character who gets turned into the werewolf. This is her conveying fear. I get that, but I think overall this poster is just not really all that interesting to me. Um, Again, I wish it was even if they didn't fully show the werewolf, just have like a silhouette of them somewhere, or something. Like I love all the posters for the 2010 film. They just look, um, they're just amazing, in my opinion. But yeah, so this poster really does nothing for me. I was hoping for something better than this. And I hope that we get something much better as we get closer to the release, because that one just doesn't do anything for me. I understand they're trying to convey the fear from the young daughter, but I don't know. I just want to see some sort of something more interesting for a poster. So that's my thoughts on that poster. Now, as far as the actual teaser trailer goes, uh, as was mentioned in the comments, it does look very promising, to be honest with you. Now, I knew going in to this, when it was announced that Lee Whannell was doing it, that this wasn't going to be the Larry Talbot story, um, based on what he did with The Invisible Man, which I think is a really solid movie. And that's despite the fact that it doesn't follow the H.G. Wells story at all. It didn't follow the James Whale film at all. It was, I mean, really the only thing in common with The Invisible Man is the title and the last name of the antagonist, Griffin. Um, so I knew going into this, it wasn't going to be the Larry Talbot story. So it, I think what looks kind of interesting about this too. I mean, from everything I tried looking up about it, it appears there's only like 5 cast members in it, and from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be minimal cast, isolated setting, and I think that could potentially work in his favor. It looks more like, I would say small scale in comparison to the original and the previous remake, because of the fact that it's got minimal cast, isolated setting, and it looks to be primarily about uh, a father who gets bitten, gets turned into a werewolf, and his family trying to survive. So I think as far as the first teaser is concerned, I thought it was very effective as a teaser, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing this movie. It's one of my most anticipated of 2024. Um, because as far as like Lee One All goes, like of course I knew him from like Saw and Death Sentence, and then he went on eventually to do directing. Now I didn't see his Insidious Chapter 3, but I did see Upgrade, and I really liked Upgrade. I thought that was well directed, and I did like The Invisible Man, despite the fact that it is so completely removed from um, the actual Invisible Man story. And one complaint about that film was like uh, it being like a tech suit as opposed to like a formula, and yeah. So it was different, but I enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed the way that he directed it, the way he built up suspense and tension just by the camera kind of lingering on certain areas of the room, because I think it makes for good suspense and paranoia. And it actually kind of made me like wish that he did the H.G. Wells story, because I think it would be really interesting to have seen his style of filmmaking with the events that happened in the original um, in the original H.G. Wells story, or the original James Whale film. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this one very much. I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't know if another trailer comes out, if I watch it. I might just be content with this one teaser trailer and then go to the movie when it comes out, and then just kind of be surprised by what I see, because a lesson I've learned over the last couple of years. I mean, okay, here's the thing. Trailers have always been very spoilerly. Always. Watch trailers the from old films, from the 30s and 40s. Watch trailers. Watch the trailer for Die Hard. They show up. Watch the trailer for Night of the Living Dead. Watch the trailer for John Carpenter's Halloween. Watch all these trailers. Like trailers have always shown a lot. Okay, they've always shown us a lot of times, especially the big money shots. But somehow it feels like it's gotten worse over the last couple of years, and especially with Universal and Blumhouse. Like uh, they showed a lot in their Halloween trailers, and I always like something that I bring up to my friends is like, imagine if the Halloween Kills trailer didn't show anything from that scene involving the firefighters. That would have been a spectacular thing to see for the first time, not knowing it was even going to happen, but seeing that on, when you watch the movie for the first time, as opposed to seeing some of that. I mean, a lot of that footage was in the trailers, so you already knew certain beats. So that's why I think I'm going to avoid a second trailer, even though it's going to be very, very tempting for me. I'm very weak-willed, um, and especially when it comes to stuff I'm like really anticipating. But I'm just a little worried that the next trailer for I almost said the Visible Man, the next trailer for the Wolfman is going to show practically everything, and I just don't want to see that. So I think I'm going to be content with just this teaser trailer. I think it was good and effective at establishing the tone, giving a hint at what the story is going to be, and yeah, I really thought it was good. Um, I'm gonna jump back to comments real quick here. Skywalker's, like I said earlier, with launching his family's permission to make the movie, because the Wolfman was his film, so they have to get his family's permissions. Do you believe that or not? I don't. Um, I would I, if they were doing something where they would like have to recreate his face, yeah, possibly. Um, but it, again, I don't think he owned the character. That's still Universal's property. Now, what may have happened is that the filmmakers of the 2010 one uh, and the new one, maybe they went to Lon Chaney's estate to get the blessing, something like that. I know, especially with like uh, Benicio del Toro, he was actually a huge fan of the old Universal monster films, and like the Wolfman was a very much a passion project for him, and someone who produced it with him. So it could have been a thing of like respect, something like that. Um, but yeah, I'll look into that more. Sean Denson, I thought the teaser poster was kind of bland, but I kind of enjoy the color palette. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I like the color palette of it too. But you're absolutely right. It's a very bland poster. I mean, go um, after this show, go and like Google like the posters for the 2010 Wolfman film, and just look at those, and I think they're great designs, and uh, yeah, they're just very well put together posters, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe you don't like them as much as me, but I thought those were much more interesting and much more grabbing than this new poster. This doesn't make any sense to me. I've been a werewolf movie fan how many years now? Why would they remake The Wolfman, but they couldn't do a remake of American Wolf in London? Of I don't know. I mean, they've been trying for years to get American Wolf in London remake off the ground. Um, the Wolfman, I guess, maybe is easier for them. It's an old property from the 40s, so um, yeah, that I'm not sure. It seemed like anytime a new you know traction got going for a new American Werewolf in London film, things just kind of come to a halt. Um, so I don't know. And again, because I know you've kind of brought up the idea of a remake of American Werewolf in London before on a couple of the other shows that I've done. But I have to say once again, I don't want a remake of it. I want to just do a sequel to it. Just do a sequel. It doesn't have to really have any of the any returning characters. Well, I mean, you could bring back, I guess, Nurse Alex Price if you want to, but it can be a whole new story with new characters set in that world. And I would love to see more of the Slaughtered Lamb. See more of that be explored. But that's just my opinion. Skywalker says, you know what doesn't make sense in same werewolf movies, the male character survives and then his wife or girlfriend gets mauled by the werewolf. Why is that in some werewolf films? Just the choice of the writers, I guess. Um, I'm trying to think of any examples of the opposite of that. Um, I mean, you're right. Bad Moon did that. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other examples. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but yeah, it's just a choice from the writers. Yeah, Sean Benson, don't remake American Werewolf in London! Exclamation point. Absolutely agree with you. I don't want to see it. Can't be worse than Tom Cruise Mummy. Not seeing it. That whole idea they had for Universal Monster MCU style universe was just weird and ill-advised. I completely agree with that. I strongly disagreed with. I liked you know I like the idea of Dark Universe because I mean if you look at it, uh, the Universal monsters were the original cinematic universe way before Marvel, but with a lot less attention to continuity. The Universal monster films, I love them. But, I mean, a lot of times even their own sequels are just the they don't line up with stuff that happened before. So it's less on the continuity side, but the fact that these characters existed together happened before, and I like the idea of going back to that to a certain point, but they were trying to take the wrong lesson from Marvel because a lot of studios don't really seem to understand that Marvel took their time and they weren't like overly successful. I mean, Iron Man was a huge surprise hit, but Iron Man 2 did well, but didn't. I don't think it made as much as the first. The Incredible Hulk, Thor, and Captain America, they didn't really do great either. And then the Avengers came out, and the Avengers was the big $200 million opening weekend one, and then it just kind of took off from there. But they had the patience to do individual story and character focused um, films, and they kind of slowly built up their world, and it made a lot of sense. Now, as far as Universal doing that for the Dark Universe, again, I like the title Dark Universe as a brand, um, but I don't want to see PG-13 action films involving the Universal monsters. I want them to be terrifying. Um, so that's what I liked about the Invisible Man is that it brought back the horror. It wasn't trying to be this big epic. And this new Wolfman looks like that as well, where it's focused on the story, the characters, and the world that they exist in without worrying about setting up future stuff. And then so like the Mummy, um, which I didn't overly hate, by the way. I thought it was just okay at best. It's better than Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. I'll give you that. Um, but the Mummy was just a failure because of the one. Tom Cruise was just incredibly miscast, especially for that character. Two, it was just the focus on the action side. So I get like uh, in what was it '99 we had the Brendan Fraser uh, Mummy come out, which was like an amalgamation of the original Mummy from 1932 and the sequel, uh, The Mummy's Hand. And so with taking, the character of Imhotep and Anatsaman and like their backstory, but then kind of having the more adventure side from The Mummy's Hand, it made sense for that film to be the way it was. And I think it's an incredibly fun, really fun movie. The Mummy Returns up the action, and it's okay. It's not. I think it's enjoyable, but nowhere near as good as the first. And then uh, Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor was pure garbage. Um, but so I was fine with those films being, sort of like the having the more action adventure side because I feel like they did take from the Mummy's Hand and even the Mummy's Tomb as well a little bit. Um, but building up the new Dark Universe, it was a huge mistake to try to do the PG-13 Marvel action film type thing. So yeah, I'm glad that they abandoned that idea and that we now have the Invisible Man and now Wolfman coming up with the focus on horror. That's incredibly important. Scott Walker with Scream 7 in production, they're going to be 89 and 10. How are they going to do 8, 9, and 10 at the same time with 7? And how could they bring back Matthew Lillard for 7, 8, 9, or 10? I have no idea what you're saying there, man. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to Scream 7. I like the series overall. Um, I I have doubts that they're going to bring back Matthew Lillard. Um, I wouldn't be overly opposed to it, but I got doubts. If they did a sequel to American Werewolf in London, direct sequel to the original, followed events of the first movie, and without being pregnant with David's child and being born werewolf, yeah, they could do that. Um, Sean Denson says there was an episode of Tales from the Crypt where a woman liked the werewolf, or a woman killed. I'm sorry, the werewolf, but she was a vampire. I believe it was called Werewolf Concerto. Yes, I remember that one. I have every season of Tales from the Crypt. I love that show. Scott Walker says with Tom Cruise's The Mummy, a lot of fans from the Brendan Fraser and the old version went happy with it because they found it very sexist for because ruins the male version of the Mummy. Uh, I don't know. I think the female version of the Mummy could have worked. It was just kind of how how it was done. It was how the story was executed. That just didn't really work out. I would love to see a direct sequel of American Werewolf in London for all the events of the original movie with Alex being pregnant with David's child and the child's born with David's werewolf DNA. That'd be cool. Sorry, I mean the Scream 7 in production. They going to do Scream 8, Scream 9, Scream 10? Are they going to do movies at the same time as 7 and bring back Matthew Lillard if what? Okay, that appears to be the last one. Um, all right, so in the meantime, I'll get back to the topic at hand. Let me find it. So this has been floating around the internet. Now this is from Universal's Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, Florida. Um, this is, you can see they got their promotional poster behind, and then there's this person here with this mask. Now I've seen some conflicting stuff about this. Um, I'll say first off, I fucking hate this look. So I really hope it's not. Now, uh, I see two sides of the argument here because uh, Ray, the owner of the Horror Syndicate, posted an image. I don't know if it was this image or if it was a different image on our Facebook page. And I was reading through all the comments, and you know, there's a lot of people who are convinced that this isn't what it's going to look like. It's just an actor wearing a mask, just kind of performing at this display. Um, and I get that. And then there's apparently it was apparently confirmed by a scooper. I forget what his name was, who said that uh, this is essentially what it's going to look like, but it's going to look better in the film. And so I see two sides here because I get it. it it will most likely look better in film because we're talking about the difference between on film you're going to have actual makeup, I believe, and then whatever else they do with it, and then with the way they light it and all that. And then this here is just some guy wearing a costume, wearing a mask. So it's not going to look identical to this in this image. It'll look slightly better. But if this is the design for the new Wolfman film of what the creatures are going to look like, because if anything, I don't believe this figure here, as long as it's true to it, with there's one like this with white hair, this is not going to be the main character, uh, that the father that gets bitten. This will likely be the werewolf that bites him, the one that turns him. Um, this is a terrible goddamn design. This is really terrible. Um, I love the original design from Jack Pierce in the original uh, film, and the sequels, or kind of sequels, um, throughout Universal's um, old series of monster films. And I absolutely love with a passion Rick Baker's makeup effects for the 2010 film. Um, if this is what it's going to look like, or if it's going to even resemble this, it's not a very good look. I don't like it at all, and I just, part of me really hopes that this is not true, and that maybe this is just some actor performing on that display who just got some random uh, mask, got a random mask somewhere, that was supposed to kind of resemble, like, it doesn't kind of resemble a werewolf, but maybe some cheap mask. So that's what I really hope. Um, yeah. So what do you guys think about this? Do you believe this is actually it? Do you believe people are overreacting? That it's just random all around? Uh, what do you think? Because I just really don't. I just really don't like it. Um, so I mean, basically, I really sound like a negative Nancy tonight, because I started off by saying how much I didn't really like the new poster, because I thought it was boring, and uh, and then also I don't like that alleged design, but I do like the teaser trailer. And again, I'm not going to watch the next trailer based on the history of Universal and Blumhouse, showing way too much in their trailers. So that is what I think. I am looking forward to get more information, more of a detailed plot synopsis. I was trying to look stuff up about it, and it was very vague about a father trying to protect his family. Uh, it was a little bit more of a detailed one on Wikipedia, but it's Wikipedia, so I don't know how accurate it is. And I was going to read it off tonight, but I forgot to write it down or print it out. So I'll get back to comments, and then I'm going to talk about the older films and then the 2010 remake. See here, Skywalker. If they do bring Matthew Lillard back, how are you going to film Scream 7, 8, 9, and 10 at the same time? That's what I'm trying to say. They're not going to film all those at the same time. Um, I don't know where you heard that. They might have greenlit um, multiple sequels at the same time, but they're not going to shoot at the same time. Um, yeah, because those are not really difficult movies to shoot. I mean, it took uh, a year in between Scream 5 and 6. Uh, so they got everything together and shot within that year period, and were able to put it out. Um, so Yeah, if anything, it would be like consecutively, but not all at the same time. Skywalker also says with the new Wolfman, what are the chances it's going to be very similar to Lon Chaney's werewolf? If the design I just had up is an indication, not at all. If that is the actual one, can't say for sure because it hasn't really been 100% confirmed or denied. Um, but I think in general, the new Wolfman film is going to be different from the Lon Chaney stuff all around. It's not going to be Larry Talbot. It's going to be new characters, new setting, new story, just called the Wolfman. I'm curious if the main character's last name is going to be Talbot, sort of like the way that the lead antagonist in The Invisible Man, the character's last name was Griffin. Um, keeping that connection. But yeah, there's going to be I would imagine, I can't say for sure, but I would imagine there's going to be very little in common with the new one and with anything from before. Sean Dunstan, two thumbs down. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a garbage look. Skywalker, I'm hoping that's not what the way it's going to look. I'm hoping it's just a prop for the movie or someone and then a suit. That's all. Yeah, like I really hope that's the case. Really do. Sean Dunstan says, "God, I hope this isn't it. It'd be an insult to Jack Pierce. 100%." Sean Sheridan says, "Lee Winnall, great director, but good God, you watched the first Saw, and his performance is so bad." Yeah, it is, and he's not really much better in Death Sentence either. Uh, but yeah, I definitely agree, and I love the Saw films. Scott Walker says, "I'm hoping the werewolf howl for the new Wolfman is going to be the one from Miracle from London Hell." Yeah, or at least something similar to that effect, something terrifying, something ear piercing. I really hope so too, man. Okay, no more comments. Perfect. Uh, yeah, so I'm gonna go back to the original. As I've said many times before, this is my favorite Universal monster film. I absolutely love this one. I love the story and I love the characters. And I love Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance as Larry Talbot. I love Claude Rains' performance as Sir John Talbot. Uh, I love Evelyn Ankers as Glenn Conliffe. Uh, and uh, Maria Ospinska, I didn't say that right at all, I believe, as Mileva is a really uh, it's really an interesting character, and I was really glad when she kind of returned for Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Um, now this could have easily been a standalone film, especially with the way it ends and the sort of the tragedy behind this particular story, where you have a man who he's not a bad man at all, a little bit questionable on his ability to understand yes and no with the ladies, but um, very likable, very likable man, very likable performance from Lon Chaney Jr. And um, I think it's just a great monster movie. Now there are inconsistencies with it. Uh, when Bela turns into a wolf, he's like an actual wolf. That's what bites Larry, but Larry doesn't get to that point. When he changes when we see the transformations, he's wearing different clothes than when he is wandering around as Wolfman. Um, but other than that, I really enjoy this film a lot. Uh, and Yeah, I think it's mostly because of the characters and the performances, but also, there's like the iconic shots of, the Wolfman kind of wandering around in the woods with the with the mist beneath his feet, and really good stuff. Now, I also like um, the journey of Larry Talbot for the remaining film. So, in the next film, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, uh, a couple grave robbers break into um, the uh, the mortuary or whatever, and they disturb Larry's grave. They remove the wolf's bane, and Larry comes back, and he's not really happy about it. He learns that his father died, which is kind of a bummer, and he learns that he can't be killed. And he's trying to find a way to die. He doesn't want to live anymore. He doesn't want to live with the curse. The thing with the Wolfman again is it's very much a tragedy of a good man um, who becomes something much darker, and he has a conscience and he doesn't want to live with it. Um, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman is a really fun film. I would say it's more of a Wolfman sequel than it is a Frankenstein sequel, although it does have a lot of elements from the previous Frankenstein films. I'm not quite sure if the character Elsa Frankenstein in this film is supposed to be the same Elsa from uh, Ghost of Frankenstein. I'm not quite clear on that, and I know that they sort of, for some reason, got rid of that whole plot point from Ghost of Frankenstein, where uh, uh, Igor's um, uh, brain, Bela Lugosi's brain, was put into the monster's body, causing him to go blind. Um, but I think that's a really fun film, and I especially like the return of Maleva in it. She just kind of disappears after a certain point, which is kind of a shame. Uh, and um, yeah, so that's like my second favorite. And then after that, it's the character of Larry Talbot, as played by Lon Chaney Jr., is the best part of, in my opinion, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula. Although it was starting to get to a point where it's very much a leap of faith of how Larry is back alive again, and to a point eventually they just stop addressing it. Um, House of Frankenstein is kind of growing on me a little bit, but I still don't like House of Dracula very much. And then his journey was didn't make he didn't it didn't really make any sense for him to be in the Abbott and Costello movie based on the way that the film before it ended. Um, but I digress. I think it's a pretty interesting series of films, mainly considering I love the Wolfman. I really like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, but like the remaining ones, I'm not so big on, but I do enjoy Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance in them, and I do kind of enjoy uh, the journey of Larry Talbot, although it gets repetitive because it's like every film is him just sort of begging people to find a way to kill him. So yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Is the original Wolfman one of your favorites? If not, what is your favorite Universal monster movie? I would love to hear about it. I should do a video about the Universal monsters at some point. I'm gonna get back to comments here. Scott Walker says in the remake of the Wolfman there was so much blood and gore. Do you think this new Wolfman movie that is going to be a lot of blood and gore? I think there's gonna be some. I don't think there's gonna be as much. Got to keep in mind too. I mean, so far from everything that is known about this film, not a very big cast, so there's not going to be very much a big um, body count. And I think the horror is really going to just come from the way that it's shot and executed. Sean Denson says The Wolfman is my fourth favorite Universal monster movie. The only ones above it are The Mummy, Dracula, and Bride of Frankenstein. I love this movie. That's okay. That's cool. All great movies. Um, it's interesting to see The Mummy on there because a lot of people put The Mummy down. Um, a lot of people seem to find it to be boring. Now, I did feel that way for the most part. Like I've always enjoyed The Mummy, but I always thought it was there was something about it. It was just much more slower paced and a lot less interesting than some of the other ones. But then a couple years ago, they did a uh, was it Fathom Events? They did uh, a double feature of The Mummy and The Bride of Frankenstein, and I jumped on that opportunity. And I just getting to see it on the big screen, there was something about it that just like it. I don't know. It had a different effect on me, and like so now, like I watch it and I have a different viewpoint of it. Like I enjoy it so much more now. I appreciate it so much more now. Maybe it's just because I saw it on the big screen and I have that memory there. But yeah, it's interesting because a lot of times when I see people's universal list, the Mummy is usually low or last. Um, but I mean, they're all great. I love them all. How come they don't sell the original Wolfman on DVD, but they sell the remake? Well, actually, you can get if you have. They do because I got the Blu-ray here. This set, which has the Wolfman, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, Abbott Costello meet Frankenstein, Werewolf of London, and She Wolf of London. They also have the set on DVD as well. Um, and then, yeah, you can get the originals. I have the DVD. I have a DVD set of the originals. I have the the Wolfman 1941 4K. Um, so they should still be available, but maybe not. I haven't looked in a while because obviously I own them all, but um, yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that the House of movies I'm kind of meh on. I absolutely get a kick out of the Abbott and Costello films. Yeah, I'm very much with you. Like the House of movies are meh, really. Um, yeah, I mean, I like House of Frankenstein more than House of Dracula because at least House of Frankenstein had kind of a much more interesting through line going on with the mad scientist played by Boris Karloff. Uh, but yeah, the House of movies are not great. The Abbott Costello movies are fun. They are fun, but I just feel like based on the ending of House of Dracula, I didn't really feel like it made sense that Larry Talbot came back, and if I remember correctly, they don't really explain either, like what happened. The Mummy works because of Carlos' performance. He's haunted, 100%. I definitely agree with that. So I am going to move on as I'm caught up on comments. And let's see, which one do I want to use? So I want to talk about the remake, the 2010 film from Joe Johnston, starring Benicio del Toro, Emily Blunt, Hugo Weaving, and Anthony Hopkins. And my question is, why the hell did this movie get so much hate when it was first released? I know that in the recent couple of years, awesomely enough, this film has been getting a lot of love, and I am here for it. Um, so I understand that the theatrical cut was very choppy, um, and the CGI um, doesn't do this film any favors, particularly with the transformation. Especially when you have Rick Baker working on the effects. Um, the use of CGI is a crime in this movie. That being said, I feel like the complaints about the effects of the 2010 film is over exaggerated because the CGI is there, but it's not really as prominent as it's really made out to be. Because here's the thing: the few moments of CGI are the usually are the talking point of the effects for the 2010 film, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't seem to be talking about Rick Baker's makeup effects. I think the werewolf looks great. The practical makeup effects on Benicio del Toro, even on Anthony Hopkins, look fantastic, in my opinion. And I think it's a great, faithful design. It's faithful to Jack Pierce's design while being slightly different and a little bit more upgraded. And then just yeah, the effects are fantastic. I think now the theatrical cut, I don't think is really a bad film in general. It's just really kind of choppy, and it just doesn't really do a service to the story. Um, but the only way to watch this film is to watch the unrated director's cut. There's I feel like it's been a while since I watched both of them to get to the difference, but if I remember correctly, there was like certain scenes that were removed for the theatrical cut, which in the unrated cut give more context to the uh, father-son dynamic between Lawrence and Sir John, and um, and I feel like that's a shame. And then of course there's more gore, more violence in the unrated cut, which kind of makes it more satisfying and entertaining. Um, yeah, I have been defending the 2010 film with my life since it came out. It's a hill I'm gonna die on. Um, I still think it is underrated, um, but it has been getting a lot of love lately. Now, I love the way it's directed. I think it's got some really good atmosphere to it. I think the sets and the costumes kind of really make it look authentic to the time, which is important. Um, I love Danny Elfman's score, even though it's not 100% all Danny Elfman. Um, there's a long history behind the production of The Wolfman from 2010, um, which I'm not going to go over tonight because I'm already almost an hour into this. And but let's just say this. I'll just to dive into a little bit of the production problems. This one involves the music. So Danny Elfman recorded his score, and it got uh, pretty much rejected. And at that time, he was busy doing another. He was busy scoring another film, presumably, probably a Tim Burton film. Um, and so they brought in a different composer, Paul Haslinger, who scored Underworld uh, 1, 3, I believe also 4 and 5. I could be wrong about 4 and 5, but he scored some of the Underworld films except for part 2. But his version was a lot more, I guess, like modern, a lot more electronic, which didn't really fit with the time period. Um, the period piece, the period piece feel of this film. So they brought back Danny Elfman. Now, because he was busy, they used some of his score. I mean, a lot of his score, but there's a lot of stuff in the film itself or from other composers. They brought in other composers to kind of try to rework some of it here and there. So what you hear in the movie is sort of like a mix. I believe the album that you can listen to, like if you go on YouTube and you type the Wolfman soundtrack, is all of Danny Elfman's stuff, and there's some stuff that you'll hear that isn't in the movie at all, and there's some stuff in the movie you won't hear on that at all. So that's a little bit of that's a part of the production problems behind the scenes of the Wolfman 2010. I really enjoy the score, and what I like about the remake, and I've said this before, so for the people um, who have been kind of joining me for these vids, or joining the horror syndicate in general. You may have heard me say this before, but what I love about the Wolfman remake is the fact that it is faithful to a point. So it's faithful enough to the original story. However, they put their own spin on it. And how they do this is by reversing the dynamic between Larry and his father. So in the original film, Larry and Sir John have uh, a warm relationship. They were estranged for a while, but um, uh, there's love there, and you can feel it, which kind of adds to the tragedy. And then what the remake did was it just flipped it on its head, and now Lawrence and Sir John have much more of a cold, distant relationship, and naturally for the purpose too of the reveal towards the end that Sir John is the werewolf that bit him. Um, but I I appreciate remakes um, that don't completely copy what came before, but also don't completely stick to it, and they find their own way, they find their own path. And I felt like the 2010 film did that. And I'm very curious to see where the new 2025 film, if it takes anything at all from the original or the remake, how they're going to do it. So yeah, I absolutely love I love the remake. So this is a series that, like, I don't know if I could call it a series, but these are films that are very near and dear to me, which makes me all that more excited for the new Lee Whannell film. Um, and really looking forward to that film as a fan of the original, the kind of sequels that happened after, which were the spin-off films continuing Larry's journey. I love the remake from 2010. I think it's um, underappreciated. Maybe is a better word to use for that. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. I'm a little scatterbrained tonight. I'm definitely not speaking as well as I should, so I apologize for that. Um, But yeah, I'm gonna get back to comments and then I'm gonna take off. Um, has there been any word on the Creature from the Black Lagoon remake? I would love to see the creature look more mermaid. Like, do you think that would be possible? Uh, no, though I haven't heard anything since they announced James Wan was going to be involved with it. Um, Probably won't be for a little bit, because just gotta wait for them to finish the script or whatever. And so hopefully we'll hear something by next year. I hope. Very much looking forward to that too. Because creature, we haven't had a creature from this. I'm surprised that the Creature from the Black Lagoon films ends at what was it? Revenge of the Creature, or was it Revenge of the Creature? Or the Creature Walks Among Us. I can't remember. I always get the titles of 2 and 3 mixed up. Scott Walker says I live all the way in Australia. I can't find the original Wolfman on DVD or Blu-ray anywhere. They had it back into the. Oh, yeah, that sucks. Um, Hope you can find a way to get it. Yeah, is there any like streaming services that you have that have them so you can at least watch them? Sean Denson says I think this film was reviled for its presentation. I didn't like it at first, but it's grown on me a lot, and I watched it once a week when I was out of work for 5 weeks during COVID. Is it a perfect film? No. Is it a really good film? Damn right. 100%, man. Well, I think too, because like, the the production problems were made public um up before the movie, and then it got moved to a February release, which put on speculation from people, especially online, that because January, February, they're considered the dumping months. Um, so I think there was sort of almost like a preconceived idea of the quality of the film before it was even released, and then sort of the lukewarm reviews that came, um, and then just being the theatrical cut itself is not the best version of the film, and I feel like there'd be a little bit more appreciation for it if what we saw in the unrated director's cut was what was released in theaters. Still not a perfect film, and I get some of the complaints. I get some of the complaints. Some people feel that Benicio del Toro and Emily Blunt are a little flat in their performances or a little wooden. I can kind of see that. I mean, it's a film where there's no joy at all. It's very bleak. It's the characters are always seem miserable for the most part, but and I really enjoy it. Scott Walker with the 2010 Wolfman. Do you see any similarities between the werewolves, the American Werewolf in London, and the 2010 Wolfman? Yeah, not so much with the werewolves or with the werewolf itself. There is like a scene where there's a couple of moments where he's running on all fours. Yeah, there's that. Uh, the looks of the werewolf are completely different. And then, of course, there's that one scene where when he escapes from the asylum and he's out in the streets in London, and there's that uh, there's that carriage that falls over with people in it. It seemed very similar to American Wolf of London. If they do a remake of American Wolf of London for the story, do you remember the audiobook story of American Wolf in London? I think they should put the asylum scope in the remake? I don't remember that. In 2010 remake, who was older, Lawrence or his brother? I want to say in the remake, Lawrence was the older brother. I I believe in the original, because the original has like a brief throwaway line when Larry first returns home about the death of his brother. Larry refers to his brother as John, which made me think that Larry was younger. So the another potential reversal there. Scott Walker, if they ever do a remake of Miracle in London, I would love to have the scenes in the audiobook, the asylum scene in the audiobooks. Sorry, how come the wolf howl was like a dinosaur sound? I don't know, man. Again, I don't want to see a remake. Uh, Sean Nelson says, by the way, thank you, Seth, and everyone else in the Horror Syndicate for all your hard work. You are appreciated by all of us. Thank you. We definitely appreciate that. Um, I haven't really been as active as I could or should be on the Facebook page. I've mainly just been doing these videos here. Ray's been doing all the Facebook stuff. So eventually he'll be coming back and we'll be doing uh, videos together. So it's not just me. But much appreciated for that comment, and I will pass it on to Ray. Um, he'll be happy to hear that. Alrighty, so I'm getting close to closing out here. I've been on for over an hour. I got beer to drink and some TV to watch. But to recap, started by talking about Wolfman 2025. I think the poster is boring. I didn't really care for it. I'm hoping for a better poster in the coming months. The teaser trailer I thought was very good, very effective, and I don't want to see another trailer for it. I'm sure they will put one or two more out. They'll probably put TV spots out. Um, as it gets closer to the film's release, um, and I just fear that based on the track record of Blumhouse and Universal, that the next trailer and some of the TV spots are going to show everything. So I'm really hoping to just avoid that as much as possible. Unfortunately, because like for the most part, I don't watch cable TV a lot, so it would be easy to miss TV spots. However, they'll be gearing up their marketing while football season is still happening. So unfortunately, it may be subjected to uh, the trailer or some footage. I hope not, but um, yeah. So I thought the trailer was very effective, and uh, I liked the the emphasis on the horror side of it. So relieved that Dark Universe is done. So I think it looks good, uh, despite the fact that the poster was lagging. And then as far as like the allegedly design uh, uh, that the leak of the alleged design, um, I really hope that's not it. I just hope it looks nothing like that at all. I hope that's not even just like the cheap Halloween costume version of what it's going to look like, because just in general the appearance doesn't look good. I do believe it'll look better than that photo from the Halloween the Halloween nights thing in Orlando, but I just really hope that's not it. So I'm remaining optimistic as a fan of the Wolfman. I talked a little bit about um, the original Wolfman film, which is my favorite of the Universal monsters. It's just a really good film, good characters, good story, um, good performances, and it's just, to me, it's a memorable film. I talked about some of the sequels briefly. Uh, well, not so much sequels per se, crossover films that carried on Larry's journey. And then I talked about the remake. I feel like I didn't really do a good enough job tonight with talking about the original series of films and the remake. I may, in the future, not so close to this episode, in the future, I'll have a more get my shit together episode talking about um, the all the all the films that are included on this set here. The Wolfman Frankenstein meets the Wolfman House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Maybe I could talk about Werewolf of London and She Wolf of London as well. I will do a better, more in depth, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewatch all of these and take notes, and then just maybe I'll do like a ranking video uh, where I just rank all the films on this Wolfman Legacy Collection set. Um, yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna go back to the comments and then I'm gonna bounce. So thank you for everyone who joined tonight, who chimed in. Scott Walker says, "Is Rick Baker involved with the new Wolfman movie? Not that I heard of." Um, Scott Walker says, "You are now my top 10 favorite YouTubers." Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Next week, maybe werewolves in films or shows where there's supporting monsters like Tales from the Crypt, Monster Squad, and Waxwork. By the way, Wolfman Scott Nards. That's yeah, that was actually an idea that I had kind of floating around too, just talking about that type of stuff. So um, that stuff that you mentioned, talk about the underworld films, talk about Van Helsing. Um, yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe I will do that. I'll try to remember. Alrighty. So thank you to Sean Denson, Scott Walker, and Sean Sheridan uh, for hanging out tonight and for participating. Um, man, one more comment from Scott Walker. With all the werewolf movies ever made out there, how long do you think it will take to watch every single werewolf movie ever made? Um, a long time. A long time. I still haven't. I'm up to like 110. I believe 110, maybe 112 now. I can't remember, but it takes a lot. There's especially when you get into like this uh, plethora of terrible werewolf films that have been made. It kind of slows you down a little bit. So, um, but yeah, there's a lot. If you go to Tubi, it's a free app. They have ads that play, you know, in during the movies some from time to time. But um, if you go to Tubi and you type in werewolf movies, they have a huge selection there. Um, and again, there's a lot of bad ones. Uh, there's a shitload of bad werewolf films. So you know, keep that in mind. Uh, we need more good werewolf films. God damn it! All right. So anyway, thank you for everyone who watched, participated, anyone who watches after the fact. Definitely much appreciated. I'm sorry that I have been struggling to speak tonight, struggling with my thoughts, very scatterbrained for some reason. No idea why. But yeah, so thank you, much appreciated. Um, and remember that love lives today, but evil dies tonight.